Hi there everyone, Lars here with my last Amphibia review, brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And wow, what an adventure it has been. After watching The Hardest Thing, I had to go for a long walk, just trying to process my thoughts and my feelings. I talked it over with my sister, who had been watching all the episodes each week with me, and I just had to give myself some time to calm down and then rewatch the series finale. And I'm honestly glad that I did, because I could then just really appreciate how gorgeous the end to the show really is. Like I said in my last Amphibia review, I will save my analysis for the battle for a later video. I am not yet done with Amphibia, not by a faint breeze or a storm wind. And looking back at it, there is so much that can still be gleaned for all of us authors out there by analyzing the show. But those will be their own videos in the future. Here instead, I want to address how the show ends, perfectly following through with its core themes. Far more established and famous authors than myself have all stressed the importance of establishing the atmosphere and themes of your story from the very beginning. Then it is crucial that you follow through until the very end with those themes and atmosphere. And Amphibia did just that. The core theme of this series, like I've said before, is friendship. What makes a friendship toxic versus what makes a friendship healthy? In this final episode, we saw the full culmination of this theme, with the core activating its final gambit by crashing the moon into Amphibia itself to wipe out all Earth and claim the magical gems. Anne and her friends must activate their full powers and fulfill the prophecy. Of course, we get a fun use of Chekhov's prophecy as Mother Olm comes and tells Anne that they might not be enough even together, and that there is still yet one spell that might save Amphibia when all else is lost. However, this spell will come at the cost of the wielder's life. Valeriana returns to provide the necessary last-minute assistance and exposition to help the girls tap into the true powers of their calamity gems. To do that, they must draw on all the lessons they've learned, and the love that they have for this world, and their own friendship. Having forgiven each other and resolving to do better since the last episode, the girls are all empowered in the most anime moment of their lives. This final battle against the core is basically a wonderful mashup of Darling and the Franxx and Gurren Lagann. The girls' imaginations and interests are manifested as magical powers, and they easily cleave their way through hordes of robots. But their power is not enough to stop the core from crashing. Or maybe it might have been, but Marcy and Sasha are too new to their powers to fully utilize them, and they quickly wink out. Meanwhile, Andreas takes the next step towards his own redemption by finally standing up to his father and cutting his father and the core out of his life. He sends the remainder of his robot army to intervene and help the girls, but it's still not enough. As the core says, it's essentially a god, an unholy amalgamation of undead minds enshrined in a mechanical celestial orb. Yeah, put that into your next D&D game. Anne tells the girls about the spell Mother Olm gave her, and she is honest about the costs, that it will kill her. Sasha and Marcy are obviously heartbroken, but given the circumstances, there is no other choice. But that doesn't stop Sprig from going up to meet Anne one last time. He is not willing to leave his best friend behind. But of course, there really is no other way to protect the world. How else are you going to defeat a god but by becoming a god yourself?
You cannot stop a god. But summoning such power comes at a price.
But no one can do that without some serious consequences and backlash. Now, I want to stop here and analyze this bit. This final fight scene is the ultimate expression of Anne's growth, her redeemed relationship with Sasha and Marcy, and the nature of her friendship with Sprig. When the girls go to battle the core, they each display their own unique personalities and interests through their powers. Anne shows off her love for tennis and her cat, Sasha shows off her love for cheerleading and fighting, and Marcy is rocking that D&D vibe and everything medieval. But despite their differences, these girls are working together and fighting in total lockstep. Visually speaking, this represents the fact that they've reached full redemption for their friendship. We get to see the power of friendship on full display, and for a change, as opposed to many other anime out there, it makes total sense. Heck, more sense than the end battles of Gurren Lagann and Darling and the Franxx, both being battles that I've praised and even analyzed here on this channel. But this moment right here is seriously earned and very well set up. All of the cosmic magic mixed with friendship and the girls' personal journeys combine to make this wonderfully wacky scene make total sense and land spectacularly. While this battle is a whole lot of fun and great catharsis for everything the girls have gone through, Anne's final moments with Sprig are where the heart of this battle truly lies. Anne is willing to do the selfless thing and save Amphibia at the cost of her own life. Anne always gave of herself, but it was because she was a follower. Here she takes the lead and gives completely of her own heart because she genuinely wants to, and more importantly, because she understands what this choice actually means. This is a move Anne could never have made without Sprig. Sprig is the one who helped open her eyes to what real friendship meant. Through him, Anne was able to meet the Planters and become part of their family. She was able to become a part of Wartwood, changing the town and everyone in it for the better, and in return, she was changed for the better. Sprig was the one who allowed Anne to voice her feelings about her mother, setting her on a path to reconcile with her mom. And let's not forget that Sprig saved Anne from Andreas in the most crucial moment during the battle for Earth. For Sprig's part, he finally found a real friend in Anne, and many more thanks to her. She's helped him grow and become more sure of himself. He's finally been on the adventures that he's wanted to go on. He's matured, he's found love, he's found family, all thanks to her. This show has always been about this core friendship between Anne and Sprig. So when Sprig says that Anne is his everything, he means it, and you know he means it. Neither could be where they are, who they are at this moment, without the other.
Thanks for believing in me, Sprig. Spraying against the world.
All the magic, the adventures, the love, the growth, saving the world, it's thanks to this friendship. Because they are real friends, Sprig doesn't stop Anne from doing what is right. A contrast to how he stopped her from doing what was wrong so long ago in the first season. And here he is, there for Anne, at the end of it all. Anne finally goes through with destroying the core and saving the world of Amphibia, but dying in the process. Sprig and Frobo take her back, where true to her character, and I love this, at the very end, she cracks a joke. Seriously, Love Choice 2 had better be worth it.
My only regret is that I never got to see Love Choice 2.
But poof, our heroine, this girl that we've come to love for so many years now, vanishes in a breeze and a burst of leaves. This is where things get trippy and a little bit weird and questionable. Anne wakes up in another dimension, a comfortable frog home awaiting her, where the three-stone deity, the guardian of countless worlds, is waiting for her, in the form of an old Mac computer. It's notable that this home is made from everything that Anne loves and cherishes. Her friends and family feature prominently in the background, but it is striking that the place is largely amphibian. That's because Amphibia is just as much her home now as Earth is. Here in this cottage, the Guardian speaks with her, explaining the role of the gems. The Guardian is tired of protecting the multiverse from cosmic threats for so long and is looking for a replacement. Though it's arguable that the first hope was that lesser beings would just simply wield cosmic powers responsibly, that didn't go over all too well. Because as we see, the Guardian created the gems and put them out into the universe, but for the past 10,000 years, people have misused these amazing powers, showing that their keepers were corrupted by all this magic and power and might. Anne was the first to use these powers wisely, and so the Guardian wants her to replace it. Anne, however, turns this remarkable offer down. She's only 13 years old after all, and realizes how much she has still to grow. Furthermore, she realizes that people change. Sprig changed her, and she helped him change for the better. Her seemingly irredeemable friendship with Marcy and Sasha also changed for the better, and Wartwood itself, against all odds, changed. Amphibia itself is now primed to change for the better and go into a far greater future than it could ever have had before. And if that is all possible, so much more good can be accomplished without Anne having to already become a god at age 13. This is when the Guardian realizes that it really has been too hasty, but also notices that Anne is even more worthy to one day become its replacement, to become a Guardian herself. It sends her back with words of comfort and to prepare for the future. And I'm just going to insert my own headcanon right here when it says that one day she'll become like the Guardian. Whenever Anne finally becomes a Guardian, I don't foresee her being alone. If that cottage is worth anything, if it tells us anything, it means that Sprig will one day join her in that great big adventure. Why is that? Because just as Anne says at the end, when you let things go, when you let people go, you'll be surprised by what comes back. And there's no way that Anne would undergo such a cosmic task and adventure without her best friend. Now, things still get a little bit weird right here because Anne was technically saved by being copied before she went poof into a bunch of leaves. That's going to be a great existential crisis for her later on. And when she meets again with everyone, well, there's a small fragment of the Guardian's power still in her pocket. 3 small fragments to be precise, to help the girls get back home. And this is where the emotions finally crushed me. This is why it was good that I took a break and came back and rewatched this, because I was able to just fully appreciate what happens here in this moment. Each girl reaffirms her growth by addressing the species that helped her along. Marcy with the newts, Sasha with the toads, and Anne with the frogs. This was a beautiful way to drive home their individual developments, and that the newts themselves are humbled and ready to build a new world, whereas they were once conquerors and cruel rulers. The toads have embraced friendship, and though they're still going to be their bossy, hard-headed selves, they are willing now to put aside their warrior ways. And the frogs are ready to break out of their shells and take a leading role in this new world. And man, this hug right here between Anne and Sprig says it all. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it right here. It's not the magical power-ups that reflect the true power of friendship. It is the earnestness of this simple, beautiful gesture. But life must go on. Change inevitably comes. All journeys come to an end, even if that road does go on and ever on. This journey is over. Anne, Sasha, and Marcy must go home. But we are shown that life still goes on, that the next journey is just around the corner. Amphibia is rebuilt as Andreas goes on the long road to redemption. He is on that road, and I like that we get to see that. That's really, really good writing. And we see how at peace he is with this. Even though it's clear that he's a prisoner, he is at peace with the choices that he's made. And this guy still has a great adventure, a great journey ahead of him, and it is one that is now filled with hope. And we see Wartwood flourishing, and everything has changed. Not even Logal's muscles remain, but everyone is moving along with their best lives. Everyone is coming together to commemorate Anne with a new statue in the town square. Hop Hop is already living the easy life of a farmer. He basically gets all of his dreams fulfilled here. Polly is now a full frog, getting up to all kinds of mechanical shenanigans, while Sprig is growing into a full-fledged adventurer. I love what Sprig is working on here in Anne's old room, and I definitely have some theories for what all of that means, which I will address later on. But while life is moving on with no apparent hope for a reunion with Anne, everyone still loves her and still remembers her. Meanwhile, back on Earth 10 years later, the girls have all gone their separate ways and become very different people than what their principal speculated. Marcy is now running her own webcomic, Sasha is a counselor, and Anne works at a museum overseeing an exhibit dedicated to amphibians. All 3 have become something that they might never have expected, but they have found happiness and fulfillment in their choices. And they all sport plenty of icons recalling their time in Amphibia. Marcy with her shirt, Sasha with her swords, and Anne with that band of leaves in her hair. It's apparent that they've all grown in separate directions, but they have not grown apart. Their friendship is still strong and still beautiful. And this comes to the show's final theme, one that's blended in slyly throughout all 3 seasons, and that is the subject of change. Everything changes, but that doesn't mean that the good has to end. Positive relationships, so long as we work on them, will always remain. All the memories that we have can never be taken away. The legacy we leave with others is immortal, so make it a good one. We may change, our friends and our family grow and change, and the world marches on its own path every day. But that change does not destroy what is good. That is the hallmark of a healthy relationship, no matter what changes come in life, that we retain what is good and that we continuously strive to grow and find more good in ourselves and others. That is a powerful message. Because Amphibia stuck to its guns throughout all 3 seasons, it was able to deliver a very complex message beautifully. For all of us writers out there, take note. This is the payoff of remaining true to your central message and core atmosphere throughout your story. Now, just like with Gravity Falls, there are a lot of questions that are left unanswered. And that's okay, because it's not the duty of the end of the story to answer literally every question that we have. In fact, it can be good because it leaves things open for fans to speculate about, have fun with, but also leaves a backdoor open for the story to continue. And some of these questions that are left unanswered are these. Who wrote the book that Marcy read that led her to the Calamity Box in the first place? And what is this new continent that Grime discovered? What will happen to Amphibia now that it doesn't have a moon? Why didn't the Guardian intervene to save all of the worlds that the Newts destroyed? What adventures will Anne go on next? Matt Brawley said that this show is the end to one adventure and the beginning to another. And wouldn't it be great to just see where all those adventures go? I do believe that Matt has some ideas on the table. This does tie into what Sprigg is doing. He has become an explorer, cataloging Anne's journey, bridging the gap between Earth and Amphibia, scientifically, culturally, even linguistically. This little frog will probably spend his life looking for a way to find his friend again, and I think he will. The introduction of the Guardian has opened up even more for the multiverse, and in a current interview, Matt said that he wants a crossover between not only his show in the Owl House, but Gravity Falls. But where Amphibia has ended right now is thematically perfect. It is ambiguous enough that fans can continue to speculate and explore on their own, just so long as Matt doesn't go the whole J.K. Rowling route and pepper us with tons of unwanted info for years afterwards via Twitter. I think we're fine. And still, there is an awesome avenue open for more adventures out there. And I will definitely be updating the Connected Cartoon Universe theory here in a bit, adding more to what we might be able to expect, given what we have learned in the most recent episodes. Because, really now, holy cow, the pathway is paved to connect all 3 shows. I'm going to show just how. Things are getting wild. In the meantime, I have a lot more that I want to talk about regarding Amphibia and lots of other stories besides, as well as provide just more writing advice for all of you novice authors out there. Nope, Camille's Harem isn't going anywhere. Though this show might be done, we are just getting started. But while it lasted, Amphibia was a wonderful ride, and it will continue to be an important part of my personal journey as just part of my own personal growth as an individual, as a creator, as an author. And I just want to say thank you for sharing these moments and videos with me. I might not be able to give you a hug like Sprigg and Ann had, but to everyone who worked on the show, and to all the fans and novice writers out there, this has meant the world to me. Again, thank you. And until the next video, y'all, keep on hopping, and tschüss.